there, it's me again. I got another recipe for people, and this one's probably going to be a lot easier than the last one because it doesn't necessarily require you to have a still. It helps if you want to make your own white lightning, white dog, whatever you want to call it. But you could just as easily buy Everclear at a liquor store and use that instead. But what I'm going to do today is you see a lot of recipes online for things like apple pie moonshine, and I don't mind that stuff. I'm just not a big fan of super sweet drinks. So what I always do is make a hard apple cider and then fortify it with grain alcohol or something to bring up the proof, and then you back sweeten it as you like it. Like I said, I don't like super sweet drinks, so I generally don't back sweeten it, or if I do, it's not a whole lot. So before we get into that, I got a quick little message to share with you, and I'll be right back. You know, where you get your information from matters. Chances are, if somebody's trying to sell you something, the information that they're pushing is skewed in favor of the product that they're peddling. That's why I suggest that you subscribe to the Mason Jar Mafia channel and visit their website. Links in the description below. You know, I trust 8 qualified teachers a hell of a lot more than I trust a bunch of people that are just kind of good at guesswork. So subscribe. And remember, I'm not just a subscriber, I'm also a client. Okay, I'm back. Had to get some things dug out. What you're going to need first is a gallon glass jug. They like to call them a carboy. Not really sure where that word comes from, but if you were to buy them off of Amazon, that's how they're listed, carboy. And the main ingredient that we're going to use is nothing more than generic Safeway apple cider. And you can just use apple juice too if you want. The only difference between the two is that this is less filtered, so it's not quite as clear. Then we're going to need brown sugar, 1 cup of it. I haven't measured this out, I always just eyeball this. We're going to need a 1/2 cup of honey and a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And then beyond that, we're just going to need yeast, and I use Distiller's Active Dry Yeast, otherwise known as Daddy. Who's your daddy? Made a mess there already. But the first thing that we're going to want to do, have a funnel in the top here, and put the brown sugar in first. And the reason is we're going to wash this down into the carboy with the apple juice. And we're going to do the same thing, apple cider. Oops. I have a 1/2 teaspoon measuring spoon here. So I'm going to use 2 of these with ground cinnamon. There's 2. Good. And like I said with the honey, I eyeball it. Since I'm blind in this eye, I guess I really am eyeballing it. I'm going to do about a 1/2 cup. And that should be about a 1/2 cup. Based on how many times I've done this before, that should be a 1/2 cup. And then we're going to slowly pour the apple cider, notice I didn't say apple juice that time, into the funnel. Something to keep in mind about if you have this exact funnel, I put an Allen wrench in the other side because it'll create a seal and it'll start spilling all over the place. As the air tries to evacuate from the carboy and the liquid going down, it really tries to run away. And it comes out, just spills all over the counter. So there we go. This is the easiest way I know of to get everything down into the jug. Now we aren't we aren't going to completely fill up this jug. We need to leave some head space in there because when we go to ferment it, if you get it too full, there's a possibility that you'll end up getting a bunch of foam buildup, and then it will go all over your counter anyway. So what I like to do when I'm filling it, stay like about an inch away or an inch below this little thumb handle. Oops, there went my Allen wrench, so I guess I have to do this manually. Keep it tipped up manually from here on out. And I'm just washing the honey down in there because it likes to stick to the sides. Okay, so there's one. And if you don't like buying brown sugar, keep in mind brown sugar is nothing more than 1 tablespoon of molasses to 1 cup of white sugar. Not really sure why they charge so much more for it in stores when there's nothing special about it whatsoever. Almost, we're getting there. And that's about as far as I want to go. Might have gone a little too far. I might have to siphon some of that out later. Don't know. Just depends on how violent the yeast tries to get on me when it starts fermenting. Okay, so we'll get rid of that. Then all we're going to do is put the lid on here and shake this around to dissolve it. I'm going to stop the video here and I'll be back in just a second when I have it all mixed up. So, just a second. Okay, I am back. Got it all shook up the best I can. I don't see any honey stuck to the bottom anymore. The cinnamon tends to fall down there, but that's okay because it'll get stirred up by the yeast when it's fermenting. I'm going to do a quick little gravity check on it to see where we are sugar-wise. Handy little refractometer. Goodness. Well, that went a little higher than what I expected. 17 on the brick scale, so that's 1.70 on the gravity, so it should come out about 9.1% ABV, and that sounds about right because the last time I did this, that's where it came out. So we've got that. We're off to a good start. What we need to do next is add the yeast to it, and we only need 1 teaspoon. And some people will probably say that's overkill, but it's really hard to have too much. Go. I'm going to put the lid back on here and shake that around. That's also not absolutely necessary, but I think I have an OCD issue and I want to make sure that all of the yeast is actually down in there and hydrated. So we have that. After we do that, we stick a rubber bun in there. Those are also a common thing that you can get off of Amazon. And then I have an airlock here already filled with water. That's all it needs. Now we wait. This should ferment out in about 3-4 days. Doesn't take very long. And when it's done, it should be about 9.1% alcohol. But through the magic of TV, we don't have to wait. What do you know? We have a train. Isn't that wonderful? No, we have a finished jug that's already fermented out. I'll throw some pictures up here to show the progress of it. But it's just like making wine, because that's all it is. It's just an apple wine. So there's a picture of this when I first did that. Another picture after it's done fermenting, and you can see how cloudy it is. And then another picture where you can see after I put the bentonite clarifying stuff in there to drag the solids out, and then another picture of this a week after it's set with the bentonite and it turned perfectly clear. Okay, so I've already tried this. Now, when you do this, you want to have enough room in here to get your White Dog, White Lightning, Everclear, whatever you're going to use, have enough room for a pint of that. Half quart, pint, whatever you want to call it. I've already tried this, and it is incredibly dry. There is no sweetness left to it at all. So I'm going to back sweeten this, but not by a whole lot. Now, if you were to look at some of the recipes online for apple pie moonshine, a gallon, you would end up putting 2 cups of sugar in it, according to those recipes. And that is just too damn sweet for me. Fireball is too sweet for me. I can't drink that shit. Stuff, whatever. We're all adults here, right? I can say shit. Yeah, I can say shit. So we're going to do the same thing again. Put the funnel in there. Got a half cup of brown sugar. And then I'm going to use the White Dog to wash that down with. And try not to spill the White Dog all over the counter, because pouring out of mason jars is always so accurate. Well, I got most of the sugar down. Yep, that's hot. Wow. Yeah, that's really hot. That's that 185 proof stuff that I used in the last video on the chocolate mint gin. Yeah, that's some pretty stiff stuff. Yowza! There's some heat in there. So we'll get rid of the funnel, and then we'll give this a few shakes to mix up the brown sugar in it. Now, generally, I like to refrigerate this. I guess you could put it over ice if you want. Tends to water down a little bit, but hey, what mixed drink doesn't water down on the rocks? Honestly. Based on my basic math, with this being 9% alcohol before anything, and the 185 proof being added to it, it should bring it up. Oh boy, I'm not going to dump this into my flask and do a hydrometer reading, but if I remember correctly, it's about 70, between 70 and 80 proof, which is fine for a cocktail. And hey, look, you get a gallon out of it. And what did it cost to make that? The apple cider, those 2 bottles, 64 ounce bottles. They were $2.50 a piece. A cup of brown sugar going in, another half on the end. A little bit of honey, a little bit of cinnamon, ground cinnamon. So they're, gosh, if there's $6 wrapped up in that gallon, I'd be surprised. And that's even with the other bells and whistles. The clarifying agent, the bentonite clarifying agent. Yeah, so if there's $6 in there, I'd be surprised. And if you were to buy that in a store, I guarantee you're not going to get a gallon for $6. It'll be like 4 or 5 times that amount, if not more. Oh yeah, based on the Biden economy, never mind. Yeah, it'd be way more than that. So that's about all I have for this video. Not going to do another tasting thing just because I already know what it tastes like, and I don't know how to convey that information through a video. Hey, it tastes like spiked hard apple cider. Really hard apple cider. So that's that. Catch you around next time. I have some ideas for some future homebrew and distillation related videos, but I have to distill some more of my white dog for that stuff. So we'll catch you around next time. And remember, sympathy is a word in the dictionary. You can find it between shit and syphilis, because we're all adults here. Later.